Good evening, this is Daniel from BlenderAddon.com, and tonight I wanted to show you how to set up the famous BMW model by Mike Pan using Automaton vehicle. So to get the model, what I did was to go to blender.org, then into the download section, and next click on demo files, and almost as the end of the web page, there's the cycle section where we have a link to download the car demo. This is the BMW I was talking about, and I already have it loaded into Blender here, but I haven't done much else rather than loading it. So the first thing that we need to do to make sure that the model is prepared for Automaton is to check the orientation of the model. So for example, if I go into front view by pressing the digit 1 in the numpad, I can see that the vehicle is not pointing towards me, right? So this is incorrect. So if we go into top view, we can fix this by quickly rotating the object 90 degrees. Before doing any changes, I will parent everything to the car shell object, just to make things easier. So first, since I am not sure if things are already parented or not, I'm gonna go ahead and select everything and Alt P for clear parent, and then I'm gonna clear and keep transformation. So this ensures that nothing really moves after I get rid of all the parenting in the BMW scene. And now I'm gonna go ahead and select the body again and select everything, making sure that the first object that I selected was the body, and this after I hit Ctrl P and then set parent to object. It can take a couple of seconds. This ensures that the parent object is the body, so not a wheel or anything else, but this object will be the parent of everything. So now I can go ahead and go into top view and hit R for rotation and rotate some 90 degrees. Actually should be, yeah, positive 90, negative 90 degrees rotation, but the actual set rotation of the object becomes 90. Anyway, or you can add it here, right here in the numeric panel. Okay, after that, if we go to front view, we see that the object is now pointing towards us, but the body, well, the entire vehicle is kind of shifted to one side. So to fix that, since my parent object appears to have the origin correctly centered, then to fix that, it's as easy as cleaning the X location of the parent object. So let's type a 0 here, and we have that fixed already. Next, let's go into side view again. So that's 3 in the numpad, and we see that the wheels are kind of trespassing the floor of the scene. That's not very nice, so I'm gonna just go ahead and move the vehicle up a little bit. I can even zoom in if I want more precision. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but something like this should do. Okay, and this is not completely necessary, but I really like to make sure that my objects are as close to the real size of objects as possible. So I noticed that this is a BMW 1M. So I'm not a BMW expert, but I just quickly googled, let's see, BMW W 1M dimensions. So if you do this, almost certainly you will get the dimensions and everything else of the object. So for example, we have a length of 438 centimeters. Let's check this out. So an easy way to do this is to check the dimensions of this object, since it basically represents the full length of the object, and it's way more than 438 centimeters. Let's just double check. 438, okay. So 438 centimeters. Okay. Now we have a funny compressed BMW bat. We can just copy this value, the X value, and paste it in the other three values. And I think I screwed the flooring of the object by doing this. Let's just fix this again. Okay. And the very last thing I want to do with the overall vehicle is to make sure that the centering of the vehicle is done by the wheelbase. So this is the wheelbase of the object, the distance between the front axis and the back axis. So it is not really centered right now. So what we have to do is basically pull it back a little bit. And in this way, we make sure that, let me see, how can I get rid of the grease pencil here? Okay, so we make sure that the distance between the front and back axis are centered around this zim. Okay, again, it doesn't have to be like extremely precise, but I think based on my grid lines, I think this is it. Okay, so this would be my setup, and I'm gonna go ahead and unparent everything now. So select everything, Alt P, and make sure to use the clear and keep transformation option. Otherwise things will just jump around when unparented. Okay, so we have a lot of objects here. As you can see in the outliner, I think we have like maybe 40 objects or something around 40. And we do not want to set up 40 automaton participating objects. That's not a good idea. Just one last thing. Let's make sure that the wheels are set up correctly. So since the wheels are the spinning object, of course, we need to make sure that their spinning axis is correct. So basically, if I play around with the y-axis here, they will definitely not wobble around like this, right? Because if that were the case, then that means that the origin is incorrectly centered. All right, and in the front wheels, these are the steering wheels. So when a wheel steers in a car, they will not actually steer from the center of the wheel, but from a position nearer to the inner side, right, to the inner of the car. So to fix that, let's see. If I go into edit mode, what I noticed is that all of these are the same model. So that's gonna be impossible to fix the origin if that's the case. So let's go ahead and make these guys single users for now. Maybe we can optimize later, but let's just make these guys single users now. So make single, and then object and data. Okay, and now that we have this, we can actually apply transformations on these guys, because now it shouldn't matter. So Control A for apply, rotation and scale gives us a nice clean slate, so 0 rotation and 0 scale for this position. And now we just have to fix the origin of the object. To do this, we will be using a new tool in Blender 2.8, I think, that is inside the options menu. So we will transform only the origins. This is, well, it's new to Blender. It's nothing new in other softwares, but for us Blender heads, this is so cool. So if I press G and move, you will see that the object isn't actually moving, but the origin is, right? So if I go ahead and move, maybe with Control or Control Shift, so that I can go in discrete steps and place it there. So I moved it 0.15 meters. And then I will do the same for the other front wheel, but in reverse. So 0.15 meters. And now, let's see what else. Okay, these guys, maybe I can just, well, it shouldn't matter really. I think I'm done with the origin. So let's disable the transform affect only origins option. And now if I go ahead and play with the Z rotation of the front wheel, it is actually steering from the correct position. Okay, so let's start with the automaton setup. To start with automaton, we will decide which are my participating objects. So as I was mentioning earlier, I do not want everything to be a participating object. I will select only the rubber, the rubber part of the wheel. So 4 wheels here and my body mesh. Okay, and I will go ahead and open the automaton tab, enable automaton vehicle, and then create automaton. So from now on, all of these 5 objects are bind together inside the automaton setup. Alright, so I'll quickly create a path here, and maybe even a terrain object, and I'll make this guy translate. Okay, so if I play around with the animation slide, okay, let's just move to a faster view mode. So if I play around with the animation slider, I see that the BMW car body object is already doing what it's supposed to do. And next, let's do the same with the wheels. So again, if you select something else that wasn't selected as a participating object, then you have no automaton settings. But if you select one of the original participating objects, then you have your settings, right? So these guys will translate, they will also spin, and they will have suspension. And this guy will translate, spin, and have suspension. And this guy will have everything, so translate, spin, suspension, and also steering. And this guy will do exactly the same. Okay, I don't think this is a fair terrain for a BMW. I mean, it's working, but just for just so that it makes more sense, I will kind of scale the terrain a bit, because a BMW shouldn't be running around in such a bumpy terrain. So of course we have the setup working now, but we left everything else behind, right? So what we do is just parent things. So for example, I'm gonna go ahead and disable translate here, and I'm gonna help myself by hiding a bunch of things that I don't need right now. So for example, the wheel stuff, I don't want it. Okay, so let's get rid of everything here. And this guy too. Okay, and next I'm gonna select the body mesh part and then select everything. Of course, since I have already hidden everything else, then I have no problem selecting things that I don't want. So let's do a Control P and set parent to object. Okay, let's now unhide. So Alt H for unhide, and let's see how it's working now. If of course I have to enable translate again. That's it. Yeah. So we do pretty much the same for the wheels. So let's just disable the effects on this wheel and maybe hide the terrain for now and the path, and just do something like this to parent everything to the participating wheel object. And then we do the same for the other 4 wheels. Okay, so basically select the wheel and then finish selecting everything else. Control P, object, and do the same for the other wheels. Control P, object, then yeah, this guy is already parented, but this guy isn't. Okay, so if we enable the effects again, I think we're done. Let me unhide my terrain. And this is looking beautiful. So I hope that helps uncover a little bit of the technical sides of Automaton. I wanted to go ahead and explain a couple more things. So you see that we have a bunch of like magic automatic buttons here. So this means that the wheelbase has been calculated automatically, and we need that. And the track width is the distance between the left wheel and the right wheel, and this has also been calculated automatically by this button. And also in the same note, the wheel diameter has been calculated automatically. So for example, the wheel diameter worked because I purposely selected this object as the participating object, and I can calculate the wheel diameter by using the object's dimension, right? However, you are free to use any object as a wheel, even an empty object, and Blender empties do not have dimension, so Automaton cannot find out the wheel diameter by itself. So it basically will give you a false number here. So what you do in that case is disable the automatic, calculation and just set it up by yourself. So for example, if this guy has a 1 meter wheel diameter, then it will obviously not work. But if it had a wheel of 1 meter diameter, then this would be the right thing to do. So let's just get back to Automatic and enjoy our beautiful BMW Zine. Goodbye.